Let's talk Colorado at Nebraska, 7:30 p.m. It'll be another sold-out crowd there at Nebraska. I forget how many in a row it is at this point. Nebraska favored by 7 points, Mason. Much to the chagrin of many Colorado fans that I've been commenting back and forth with on the internet, they do not agree with this at all. And here's kind of my thing in a nutshell. We saw Colorado against North Dakota State last week, and there's a lot worse teams that Colorado could have played on opening weekend, right? There's a lot of teams that are worse than North Dakota State, but there's also a lot of teams that are better. And so this was kind of just like a middle of the pack, kind of, lower tier team, I guess you would call it. Lower tier, lower middle, whatever you want to call them, however you want to categorize them. And we saw Colorado's offense come out and look really good for the most part. I'll struggle a little bit to run the football, but I felt like they protected in pass protection a little bit better. This is not a all-star group of offensive linemen for Colorado as much as everybody would want him to be. Jordan Seaton was a nice 5-star freshman piece that's playing at left tackle right now. He's going to kind of have to continue to cut his teeth as the season goes on, and he looks like he's going to be a good one, guys, for sure. But everybody has to start somewhere, and Jordan Seaton is starting this year, and it's going to be a learning curve. It's going to be a learning curve. But I felt like the team overall pass blocked better. I still don't feel like they're very good at run blocking. Okay, it didn't run the ball particularly well with the running back. But Shedeur is an elite quarterback, guys. He's going to play on Sundays. He's an elite quarterback. The arm strength seems to have gotten a lot better every year for Shedeur. He throws the prettiest football as well. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. The way he moves around in the pocket really buys him some time, and it really helps out that offensive line. And then the wide receivers. This is one of the fastest groups in the nation. Jimmy Horn is blazing fast. Travis Hunter is a really, really good wide receiver, and I think a better wide receiver than he is a cover man on the defense, but still one of the best cover men that Colorado has for sure. Colorado's better this year. They're better this year than they were last year. Defensively, they seemed a little bit better in some spots, but still pretty porous. I think defensive line is a tick better, and I think the rest of it's about the same. Linebacker secondary is about the same as what we saw last year, and I think the D-line is a little bit better. With that being said, Nebraska already had a good defense last year, Mason. They're already ranked top 10 in a ton of categories. It was not a defensive problem that they had last year. And when it was the defense being on the field too dang much, and it wasn't more to do about personnel. It was more to do with, not playing complementary football because you just had the turnover bug. You had a quarterback that led the team in rushing. That's never a good thing. He wasn't a Heisman caliber quarterback or anything, so it wasn't a good thing. And then collectively, all your quarterbacks for Nebraska last year, all of them put together, threw more interceptions than they did touchdowns. Dylan Raiola is a young man himself. Somebody kind of twisted my words around on me from earlier this week. They said, well, you said Jordan Seaton isn't ready, but you think Dylan Raiola is. I didn't say Dylan Raiola is, going to be in New York for the Heisman ceremony. I didn't say that. But I do think Dylan Raiola is more in a complementary system. I don't think he's the bell cow. He's not like he couldn't go step into Shedeur's shoes and do what Shedeur Sanders is doing right now. There's no way, and I will fully concede that notion. But Dylan Raiola is not being asked to do that, right? That's not what this guy is being asked to do. Nebraska has got to get the run game going, and that's going to be the key to this game. I think some of it's going to be with Heinrich Haarberg. I hear that they've got a package for him, and he's going to be able to come in and run the football. I think that's a really good idea in this game. I think he's going to be able to have success. I think this offensive line is going to be able to kind of move some guys around. You got some returning pieces there at center and right tackle. I think the offensive line is improved. I think you're very clearly improved at the quarterback position. And then not to mention you bring in a guy like Jamal Banks. We saw Isaiah Nayor have a good day this past weekend. You got Bonner coming back. Malachi Coleman, it's going to be any day now. We're going to see this guy coming of age and coming out. So maybe that's in this game. This would probably be a good game to get him going. And that's not to mention somebody that we kind of missed, I think, earlier this week. But Thomas Fedone, a guy that Nebraska fans are pretty excited about there at the tight end position. So this is a new look offense. This is not the offense that Colorado played last year. And while I do feel like Colorado's defense is a little bit better, I feel like this Nebraska offense is a lot a bit better. And with that being said, I like Nebraska to win this football game. I'm still kind of stuck on the 7. That's quite a round number there, guys. That's like a prime betting number is 7 3s and 7s, right? Multiples of 3s and 7s, are pretty tough. I could definitely see a push right there. But with this offense being better against the defense that they're going against in Colorado, I think that Nebraska is going to be able to come out and use some of the new weapons that they've got, and I think it's going to help them get to a victory in this one. Whereas last year they weren't able to get over the hump as they turned the ball over too much to beat Colorado. What do you think about this one, Mason? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really like what I saw out of Nebraska this past week. I thought that Raiola was better than advertised in a lot of ways, depending on where you're getting your advertisements, I guess. But when you really look at a true freshman kind of stepping into the Big Ten as at the quarterback position of all positions, you're gonna have some questions, right? Raiola, to me, in week 1, answered those questions about as well as he could have. It wasn't a Colorado that he was facing, and what's that saying? I guess when you look at their defense and the holes that they had opened up for North Dakota State, I don't know that you're really going to test Raiola in this game either. But point is, I think that he is going to be a good quarterback. If Heinrich Haarberg is coming in and playing in certain packages, that's not a knock on Dylan Raiola. That says more about Heinrich Haarberg and what he's able to do with his legs. And I'm with you. I do think that it is a really good idea because I think that you're going to be able to run the football against Colorado. And if you can run the football and you can play and kind of slow the game down a little bit and play not to lose in a sense, where you don't want to put your young quarterback in a position to get intercepted by a Shiloh Sanders or a Travis Hunter or one of those DBs. I mean, they do have a pretty good defensive backfield as a whole. If you can limit the potential for an upset and limit kind of what they did last year and turning the ball over, then I think you're putting yourself in a position to win this ball game. I don't think you really have to go out there and make this a statement game for Dylan Raiola or for any of these pass catching weapons. But why do that? Why would you do that when Colorado has shown that they're not able to stop a freaking nosebleed? Like, just run the dang ball, trust your offensive line, and I think that you get out of this game here unscathed. That being said, I really like Isaiah Neyor. I think it's going to be tough to really limit his potential in this game and throughout the season. But if you establish the run early, take some play action passes, and kind of stretch the ball vertically after you've established that run, I think that you're putting less stress on the wide receiving room and you're putting less stress on the quarterback to where, Raiola is able to kind of play loose and probably play pretty carefree and hopefully mistake-free if you're a Nebraska fan. But yeah, I think I do feel like Nebraska is going to be able to go out there and score some points. When you look at the defensive side of the football, I mean, they return everybody pretty much, right? Hutmaker coming back, I think, was a big addition. He looked good. He looked like that big cornbread-fed, dude that we saw last year. I mean, he looked the same, disruptive in the middle, kind of fast for his size, freakishly fast for his size. I thought MJ Sherman played pretty well from all that I could tell. Didn't really get to see a ton on the defensive side of the football just because, this wasn't a game that I just sat down and watched live. and it's tough to find a full game highlight. So I'm going to have to wait and see, but we'll have a little bit more of a sample size in this game. We'll be able to have our full attention being placed on this game with Nebraska, and I'm excited to see what the defense looks like. I expect big things. I also expect big things from Shedeur Sanders, and I'm curious to see how this secondary holds up, and I'm curious to see how the pass rush gets after Shedeur, knowing that this is a weak offensive line for Colorado. Are there some different blitz packages put in? How they play this is going to be really interesting to me because I think that you really have to limit the time that Shedeur has to work with. Because if you don't, I don't know that any secondary is going to be able to hold up. If you're giving him 5 or 6 seconds every play, he's going to make you he's going to make that hurt. You know what I mean? So to me, that pass rush up front's got to be pretty elite. Do you unleash Princewell? I mean, I think that could be sort of a playmaker that you kind of come out of this game and you're circling as one of the best defenders on this team. Could certainly see it, but I think him and MJ Sherman are both going to have pretty good games this week.
Mason, what was the over/under on this game? Do you remember? Let's go back and look real quick. Over/under 57 and a half. That's okay. It was on the title page. I just missed it.
Yeah, it hasn't moved since we last recorded.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take a little bit different approach to this one. I agree with you that Nebraska has got to get pressure, but I don't think they can blitz. I don't think they can blitz a whole lot. I think they're going to have to do it with 4 at the most. Because you can't sacrifice too much. And look, Shedeur, he's no dummy out there. He knows how to read a defense. He sees blitz coming from somewhere, he's throwing right behind it immediately. I think that Nebraska has the guys. You've got the 2 guys in the middle in Hutmaker and Ty Robinson. I feel like you're going to be able to hold the point of attack very well. I don't suspect that Colorado is going to be running the football a whole lot in this game. And if they try to, I feel like they're just wasting downs. They're not a good running football team, and I don't think they'll run well against this team. So can you rush 3 or 4? You're still going to be able to provide a little bit of pressure, I think. Like I said, I'm not a big believer in this offensive line. Somebody needs to step up, obviously, in the 3 or 4 guys and be able to create some pressure. You don't have any returning starters on the ends there, and there's a little bit, a little concerning as far as somebody to get after the quarterback there. But I feel like you want to back up and you want to get as many people back and guarding these wide receivers as possible. Because I think this is a decent little secondary here for Nebraska. Isaac Gifford is obviously a really, really good player. And you've got Malcolm Hartzog there as well, making his way back, 6 pass deflections last year. You need those guys on their A game, no doubt about it, because these wide receivers are just blazing fast. If you can rush 3 or 4, get enough pressure to keep Shedeur off balance, he's going to get his, guys. He's going to get his. But if you can get enough pressure to where you get him off his spot and he's having to go to the intermediate stuff, dink and dunk a little bit, then I think this one can actually end up being a lower scoring game than what Vegas is predicting. So I'm going to take the under in this football game. I think Nebraska on offense, we just talked about what my plan in my head would be as far as, defensively against Colorado. Offensively, it's very simple. Run the football. You should be able to do it against this defensive front for Colorado. And if you do it, you limit the possessions that you give to Shedeur, which is a big, big deal. You run the clock, and I think that is going to be a really big part of this game. Just got to protect the football while you're doing that, and I think it's a really good plan of attack against these Colorado Buffaloes. Give me the Nebraska -7. I've been crying all year about this game. Nebraska is not going to forget what happened last year. I've said it the whole time. I think Nebraska comes out here with a vengeance, and I think they're able to pull away here at the end. What do you think, Mason?
Yeah, that would be a statement win for Matt Rule and company, and for Dylan Raiola, for Isaiah Nayor potentially, whoever steps up right on the offensive side of the football and the defensive side of the football for Nebraska. I expect the same. I expect this to go in Nebraska's favor. I think that they cover the 7 points easily, and I also am picking the under because I do feel like Nebraska is going to be able to get some stops. I think that they are going to be able to rush forward and kind of just create a stalemate, on that side of the football. That's really what you want if you're on the defensive side of the football. And then conversely, I don't feel like Colorado is going to be able to contain Nebraska, but I think Nebraska knows that, and they play a slower sort of pace here. I don't feel like Nebraska's looking at this and saying we gotta score 40 points this game. Like, you really don't have to, especially if you limit possessions. If you run the football and keep the possessions down for both teams, play safe, play good special teams. I think you're going to be set up for success in this one. I think it will be a lower scoring game, and I feel pretty confident about that. I think I might double dip this week on our Thursday show, on our betting show on Thursday night, and we'll have to wait and see. I might change my opinion, but as of right now, I feel like this will be a lower scoring game.
Yeah, I really like the under in this one. I like the under more than I like the line on the game because I could see Nebraska winning this thing by a field goal. I really could. It's going to be an emotional game, and the place is going to be absolutely packed out. It'll be interesting to see how Dylan Raiola responds, Mason. Like we said, I think they'll kind of put it on a tee for him, keep the training wheels on. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. You're not going to be sick in Dylan Raiola on this Colorado team. Should be a team victory here for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and I can't wait to see it.